Hello viewer, this episode I'll be looking at post-crisis Superman's durability feats that involve stars and supernovas which can be reasonably estimated. Where possible, I'll evaluate how powerful those feats are. Disclaimers first, please support the official material. Stuff I show here is for informative purposes, and spoilers. On with the show. For sources, I'll be going through Infinite Crisis number 7, Action Comics number 847, the Superman vs. the Elites movie, adapted from Action Comics number 775, and Action Comics number 867 as part of the Superman Brainiac storyline. And other secondary sources will be referenced as well. Starting at Infinite Crisis number 7, Post-Crisis and Earth 2 Superman take Superboy Prime to Rao, the red sun Krypton previously orbited. This was to depower Superboy Prime and destroy the anti-monitor suit he was wearing to even the playing field. Now, it's been mentioned twice, once by Jor-El in Superman Birthright number 1, that Rao is a red dwarf star. Compared to our sun, red dwarfs are typically at most 50 to 60% of the sun's mass. So, to estimate the energy tanked by the Superman, and to make it easier for me, I'll just go off the energy output of our sun to be the same as Rao. It's been estimated the sun's total energy output per day is 3.3 times 10 to the 31 joules. So we'll just go with that. Now, we don't know how long the Supermen were in the red sun for. It was probably only maybe a minute, but they were going through the heart of Rao, which would be hotter than the surface. So, the sun's total energy output in a day seems reasonable to me. So, I'll take the 3.3 times 10 to the 31 joules as the total energy all Supermen, particularly post-crisis Superman, endured when going through Rao. In contrast, the minimum estimated energy required to planet bust or destroy Earth is 2 times 10 to the 32 joules, which is just under 10 times the estimated energy. Overall, it's an impressive post-crisis Superman durability feat, having tanked just under 10 times less than the energy required to destroy Earth, considering that red sun energy does depower him. Next, in Action Comics 847, we have Superman surviving the shockwave of a special entropy bomb designed to defeat the Sun Eater. We know the bomb causes an explosion said to be 50 times bigger than Kepler's supernova. However, from what I can see, I don't think Superman took the full brunt of the explosion, and here's why. The bomb was stated to be an entropy bomb, specifically tailored to destroy the Sun Eater. Now, the official physics or thermodynamics definition of entropy is still pretty complex sounding, but in my words, and in the context of the Sun Eater, inducing entropy using the bomb is meant to cut out all the red sun energy away from the Sun Eater and destabilize it. Given that, I don't feel the bomb caused that massive explosion. Yes, the electromagnetic shockwave that hit Superman appears to be from the bomb's detonation, but to me, I feel the 50 supernova explosion was the violent chain reaction of the Sun Eater's body destabilizing from the bomb's detonation. I say this because Sun Eaters are said to be as big as nebulae, which are huge. More details in Story Feats episode 13. And in the story, Superman is seen travelling into the heart of the Sun Eater to detonate the bomb. So, bomb detonates, Sun Eater violently reacts, its whole body creates the explosion 50 times bigger than Kepler's supernova. So, Superman being in the center would very likely get hit by some of the explosion, just not the whole 50 supernova blast. In addition, the story presents Superman getting regularly blasted by red sunbeams from the Sun Eater, which we saw the beams having the power to damage the last remaining alien spaceship. This did hurt Superman greatly as his powers were being drained. It doesn't make sense Superman was able to shrug off the full blast of the 50 supernova explosion, especially with his powers drained at that point. And final thing we see is that a ball of radiation that was heading towards Superman was said to have incinerated him if it touched. Given that was enough to destroy Superman at this point in time, it seems unreasonable he could take the full force of the entire 50 supernova explosion. Overall, in this instance, Superman definitely tanked the detonation from the entropy bomb and likely only tanked some of the blast from the 50 supernova explosion. Given when drained, he was hurt or would have died from less intense red sun radiation attacks. Next feat in Superman vs. the Elite, we have Superman tanking an attack from Coldcast, claiming it was 15 suns exploding in his face. I'll show you the clip here.
Coldcast? Nothing could've. That was like 15 suns exploding in his face.
Note that this is only in the movie. For the original comic, Action Comics number 775, there was no mention of 15 suns exploding in Superman's face. Looking at both the comic and movie, the explosion created a large crater on the moon. In the comics it was Jupiter's moon. And it looks like Superman was kind of hurt from the attack, noting he did receive wounds earlier battling the others in both iterations, but he was still able to function normally afterwards, so don't think it was too bad. Looking at the impact of Coldcast's attack, it does not appear to actually be as powerful as 15 real exploding suns, presumably referring to a supernova. Looking at Action Comics number 805, we see a hint of what Coldcast may have meant by his exploding suns statement. Here, Coldcast uses his powers to replicate yellow sun radiation and uses a large surge of it to temporarily power up Superman, while Superman's powers were being drained under a red sun. And Coldcast does state he has a few charges of these large energy surges, maybe up to 15, which possibly refers to the exploding suns he was talking about. Overall, Coldcast's 15 exploding suns likely refer to these large surges of energy he was able to produce to temporarily power up Superman. It makes more sense than a literal exploding sun, given the impact of Coldcast's attack was displayed as creating a large crater on the moon in the movie, or a large crater in Jupiter's moon in the comics. So overall, Superman did tank a large electromagnetic attack from Coldcast. Final feat is in Action Comics number 867, where Superman is hit and knocked out by a literal exploding star. Looking at the full story, this star was artificially exploded by Brainiac launching a missile into it. As we can see, Superman was on a nearby planet when the star artificially went supernova, which was a fair distance away from that star. It's clear here Superman didn't take the full force of the supernova, as the blast spread over a large distance, where Brainiac's ship on the other side of the star also had to put up a force field to protect against some of the supernova's shockwave. We do see the artificial supernova destroying the planet Superman was standing on, so it's fair to say he survived a planet-busting level portion of the supernova blast. We don't know how big the planet was, so for simplicity, I'll assume the portion of the supernova Superman took was the energy required to destroy Earth. As stated before, the minimum energy required to destroy Earth is 2 times 10 to the 32 joules. Overall, in this instance, I would say Superman was knocked out, but survived a planet-busting portion of the supernova blast, with the assumption the planet was Earth-sized. So, I would say this feat shows Superman can survive an Earth-sized planet-busting attack. In conclusion, Superman has survived attacks involving stars and supernovas. From what I can tell, he can survive against partial blasts from a supernova, or survive in a star with the energy capacity required to destroy a planet, specifically Earth-sized planets. Of course, that's just me. Read the full story and make your own judgments. Okay, that's all for today. Hope you received some newfound knowledge. Thanks for watching, and hope to feat you again.